And this one you haven't seen yet, but I've been working on this one, and this is going to be the next one to give away. I told you guys I just couldn't resist. I wanted to be able to give away more guitars. If you'd like to follow the process of turning a block of wood like this into a guitar like this, then you've come to the right place. And if you would like to see me give this guitar away, click subscribe, hit the bell.
As long as I have a cool guitar by the end of this.
Well, good morning, guys. Welcome back to Let's Build a Guitar once again. I am getting very close to gluing the two halves of these X-Horizon semi-hollow bodies together. In this channel, one of the things that I've been trying to do is to talk about some things that might just be minuscule or maybe very common, and so I'm not trying, I certainly don't want to insult anyone's intelligence. That's not what I'm trying to do, but I do want to talk through some of these minuscule little details. As I am prepping to get these glued together, there's a couple of things that just are simple and make sense if you think about them ahead of time. These sound ports, for one, it's a lot easier for me to sand them now before these two body halves are put together. Now, the reason why I know that is because the first one I did, I sanded it after I put them together. Well, you learn, right? The other thing is, if you're looking at these edges, you're thinking, man, that's really, he hasn't sanded that or anything yet. And I do that on purpose. And the reason is, as you can see, yeah, this is still really quite rough here from when I did some of the routing. And I'll be sanding that, but I'm not sanding it until after I glue it together. But what I'm avoiding is these corners are a sharp and yet really kind of a delicate corner, because if my sandpaper goes over the edge a little bit, it'll round it off very quickly. And if this gets rounded off and the other side gets rounded off, when I put them together, I will have a little dip, kind of like just a little valley right along this line, which I don't want. So I wait, I glue it together, I've got a nice tight seam, no valley, and then once they are solid together, now I can sand all of this and not have to worry about this seam, because I want this seam to be very, very tight, almost unnoticeable. Well, I've got some sanding to do. Be patient with me. If you see like this little line right here, you can barely see it there maybe. Just see that little line. I got to work to make sure that that's gone. So we're checking to make sure that as I sand that all these little marks, there's another little bit of a mark there, that all of this is nice and smooth. Now I'm down to a 220 grit at this point. All these little details, it just takes time, but if you want it to look really nice and look like above and beyond, the simplest little lines that you can barely see, you need to make sure that they are sanded out. Now I'm working on sanding the inside of this guitar. You might really think, why would you do that? Because for the most part, it's not going to be a place that people are going to see. But I'm working on being a quality craftsman, which means I'm taking care of the parts that are unseen as well as the parts that are seen. I am at the point now with this X-Horizon that I can glue these two halves together. I've got this sanded all nice and smooth inside these sound ports. Double check that. They look pretty good. So I've got that sanded, ready to go. And so I'm just going to glue these two halves together now. You'll be able to watch it a lot quicker than I'll be able to do it. Today is going to be one of those days where I just have lots of little things to do. So I'm going to work on that. I've got this guitar that I still need to do the sanding on, finish doing some sanding on it, and then glue it together. I have got this one over here, which is my Telecaster that I'm building alongside of Corwin and his Telecaster. Remember, just like 2 weeks ago, I was saying how after playing that Floyd Rose, I was thinking, man, it'd be fun to have a Floyd Rose again. I've ordered a Floyd Rose, so I'm going to put a Floyd Rose Telecaster together. It's just so much fun to have a Floyd Rose on a guitar. It's been a long time since I've had one. I've also got another solid body cloud that I need to start shaping for somebody. We got lots to do, so lots of little bits. So I think I'll just have you peek in on me here and there throughout the day and just, yeah, give you little updates. But this is what a Monday sometimes looks like for me, because Mondays are typically my day off. So on my day off, that's when I do a lot of guitar work. And then I'll do work in the evenings, and sometimes I get a little time on Saturdays or Sunday afternoons to work on stuff. All right, now I'm going to be using the backside mahogany that's already been cut. I'll be using that as my template to route out the rest of the front of the body. So just like the one we did for Corwin, I'll be routing this out too. So Floyd Rose going on there, that's going to be awesome. I'm kind of excited about that. Believe it or not, I actually could use another guitar. Most of my guitars go to other people, so I've got my one workhorse that I use all the time. That was the very first guitar that I built. And then I've got a baritone that I've built that I use, but it's always nice to have a backup in case there's something, you know, break a string on stage or something and need to grab the other guitar quick. But I always like to make them a little bit different, so I'm not just repeating exactly what I already have. So yeah, I think doing one up with the Floyd Rose should be killer, right? Awesome. Looking forward to that. This is a solid body cloud style guitar that I'm working on for a guy. Right now I'm just working on this horn. I've got to do some more carving down on this end, and I've got to carve this up here. First thing I do is I narrow this out so that this actually tapers on both sides, and I get that so that it's kind of flat like this. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it to a point here, and I just do it with my orbital sander actually. So take a good look at it now so you can see that side and this side. And if I keep my lines going straight as it comes down, I'm going to have it so that these two lines are going to come together about right in here, and then it'll come down into here, and then I'll be able to carve out my swirl in just a little bit. So let's do a quick time lapse of me working on this. All right, you can see it already coming to the point here. Still got to come back a little bit more because we want this point to come together. This line needs to come to about right in there, right where this kind of comes up here. Right in there is where that line needs to come together. Okay, and then on the back side here, this actually doesn't come to a point. Now, on some of mine, I have come all the way to the point, and that was until I realized that when Dave Roussan does it, he actually leaves just a little bit there. I don't even know, it's not very wide. It comes down, but it doesn't come to the point. And then this is gonna kind of curl up in here, and we make this come around that way. And so that's gotta get carved out as of yet too. I'll just show you a little bit of one of Dave's horns on his, on how he does it there. So yeah, got a lot of shaping to do yet, and just a lot of fine tuning. This stuff takes a lot longer than somebody might think, because it's just a lot of little putzing on little itty bitty details. Hey, I'm going to move over now to working on Mr. X's guitar. I'm going to start sanding these outside edges. Once those are sanded and smooth the way I need them to be, then I'm going to be able to bevel these edges. So that'll be coming up here in just a little bit. I'm wearing the full overalls and a hat because right now it is 24 degrees Fahrenheit out here. Started off at 19 degrees this morning when I came out, but we're up to 24. Whoopoo! This is the week of Thanksgiving, so I got a little extra time to try and get a lot knocked out on these guitars. Okay, I've got these edges all sanded up nicely, and you can see how good and tight the seam is on there. And I've got that, yeah, pretty well sanded. I'm gonna have to do, obviously you still need to cut the curl in here yet. If there's any tool that has really saved me a lot of time, it's been this spindle sander. I got this last year for Christmas from my wife, and in-laws went in together to buy me the spindle sander, and saves a lot of time. You don't need this to do this, but for getting in here and sanding these curves, these are so much quicker. Using that spindle sander makes it go really quite quick, maybe 3.5 minutes to get that pretty well sanded. I'll still have to sand it by hand a little bit later, a little more, but that's pretty good there. Wait for the mailman to go by. Now we're going to move on to routing out the rest of this body. I'm going to be using my mahogany back to route out the front of the maple and wenge. And so it's pretty much just going to be like what Corwin did the other day. I'll replicate that process here now very quickly. All right, guys, time for a project update. Today has been a very productive day. Got this one routed out, this Telecaster, which is a lot like Corwin's. That one's for me. I'm gonna put the Floyd Rose on it, and it's been a long time since I've had a guitar with the Floyd Rose, and I could use a second guitar for a backup. There's this one, which I have now sanded my edges on. This one is ready now to have those corners edges routed off. So that'll be coming up, but I'm going to save that until I get this done. I need to sand this one. I need to get this one glued together, get this to the same place that one is, then I can do all those corners at the same time. This is a solid body that I'm working on for somebody. I still have to do some routing down here and get this finished off. That always takes a little bit of work down here to get that the way it needs to be. That, and then this, another X-Horizon semi-hollow. And this one you haven't seen yet, but I've been working on this one, and this is going to be the next one to give away. I told you guys I just couldn't resist. I wanted to be able to give away more guitars, so I'm going to keep working on this one. So we've got Corwin's guitar, we got my Tele that I'm working on, 2 for Mr. X, 1 solid body, and this one. Lots of little projects going on. I find that when I do it this way, I can get a whole lot more done, because while I'm waiting for one thing to dry or something, I can be working on another one. Or like in the case with these, I will route the edges at the same time, and that way I don't have to change my bits out over and over again. So you save time doing that. I'm pleased with what I've got done so far today, and the way things are looking. So things are coming together, and kind of excited about that. This is going to be a white, pearl white cloud, and gonna be basically doing that one like the original that was in Purple Rain. It's gonna look a whole lot like that guitar, except it will have pearl white. It's a solid maple body. It's gonna be a solid maple neck. It's gonna be a 12-inch radius neck. It's gonna be 24 3/4 inch in length, which is a Gibson scale length neck. So gonna get going on those. Let's see, what do we have? We got Corwin's, 2 for Mr. X, my telly, this solid body, that semi-hollow, and then I've got a half another one up there that I've started working on as well. So right now it looks like I've got approximately 7 guitars going. People ask me sometimes how long it takes to build a guitar, and usually if I'm going to build one for somebody, it's going to take me about 4 to 5 months to do it. But sometimes it looks like I'm just chucking guitars out left and right, and that's because while it takes me maybe 4 or 5 months to do it, I'm doing multiple guitars at one time. Thanks for jumping in, checking out today. We'll catch you later. Next time you're going to see more of Corwin working on his, and by that time I should have this other X Horizon for Mr. X done and ready to go, and then we're going to work on those edges. Coming up real soon, doing a video on how to order a neck from Warmouth and get a really good deal if you're going to be doing a build yourself. Catch you later, guys. Keep fighting for joy.